Welcome to another episode of The Shredded Show by Charlie Johnson. We are in the fat loss deep dive series. Today, we're going to go through the truth behind fat burning supplements. Now, this is a very, very hot topic of confusion. And it frustrates me because people will often invest a lot of money into supplements to help them lose body weight. Now, there are a few things we need to look at here, like what causes fat loss? And think about it. What causes fat loss? So fat loss is essentially basically the process of you burning more calories than you consume on a daily basis, as we explained in the first episode of this deep dive series. Now, that is the very basics of it. But in reality, what can help you with that? Well, there's a few things here. So something I do believe works with fat burners and doesn't work is the caffeine content. So do a lot of fat burners help you lose body fat? Yes, indirectly. So I use, say, for example, a Muscle Nation Destiny fat burner before doing cardio. Why? Because it gives me a kick of caffeine. Now, that kick of caffeine, particularly if it's early in the morning or if I'm tired, will give me the ability to train a little bit harder. Now, having that ability to push myself harder during cardio means my calorie expenditure will be higher. Therefore, I will burn more body fat. Does that make sense? And that's really what we're looking at here in terms of probably the most basic factor in terms of getting you results, is the fact that if you're burning more calories on a daily basis because you're using something like the Muscle Nation Destiny, which has caffeine in it, then that's going to make a big difference to obviously the calorie output from the cardio session. And that done consistently is what's going to cause more fat loss because of using that product. So that would be firstly where I'd look at in terms of that as a fat burning product, and like what most fat burners are mainly based upon, which is just caffeine. Now, in reality, there's a few other things they can have within them, which will have a difference in terms of actually helping you maybe potentially lose a little bit of fat. Now, say, for example, with the Muscle Nation Destiny fat burner, which I'm a big fan of for a few reasons, is the nootropic formula in it. So it's got things like alpha GPC, it's got L-tyrosine. Like these things help with the way your brain functions and gives you focus and clarity, which will help in regards to your workouts, you staying on point, and you consciously being aware of everything you're doing. So in that regard, yes, some of these extra ingredients do help and will help you lose body fat. Will they help you get lean on their own? No. What's the most important thing you should invest your money in? A decent gym and the right advice and the right guidance, not a shiny fat burner with a pretty label which tastes great. And I really like them, they're awesome, but that's not what's going to get you lean. What's going to get you lean is you having the right setup, guidance, accountability, and structure to get results, not necking a pre-workout or taking a couple of capsules to get you lean. In regards to like other fat burning supplements, a lot of people ask me about L-carnitine all the time. Now that, for example, as a fat burning product is something there's no actual factual research to back up that it works like for actually aids fat loss, like specifically lipolysis of like the burning body fat. So again, that's not something I'd recommend you probably invest your hard-earned money into. In terms of a product that I would recommend that works well is the Vaso Burn by MPAs. That's Matt Porter approved as a nutritional company. And it's actually, it has basically this ingredient which is called yohimbine, which you can get in a capsule form, but this is like a topical, it's like a cream, like a gel. And basically you put that onto the skin of where you're looking to try and burn body fat. So you put it on like your belly, your like love handles, your glutes, your quads, and it helps basically to heat up that area and helps to mobilize fat. And also the yohimbine is supposed to aid in terms of fat loss. Now, does this work? Like I've used it a few times. It definitely makes you sweat more. It definitely helps get some of the water weight out. Will it make that much of a difference? Probably not. Would I invest if I was short of money, would I spend money on it? No. Do I think you should give it a go? Yeah, why not? Like I'm a big believer, like these are my opinions of what I've experienced with myself and my clients. And like in reality, go and try these things yourself, because the best way you learn is by trying things. Like fat burning supplements themselves is a very shady market and is massive. And like, I can guarantee you listening to this right now, I can guarantee you've bought fat burning products. I bought loads. I bought like more than I can even remember. I can't even remember how many I bought. And like, do they make any difference? Like, did it actually like noticeably make me shredded or anything? No, not really. And the same with like testosterone boosting products that you get. Like I remember back in the day, I don't know if they still make it. Like I might actually have a look on Google out of interest. Is the LA Muscle? I think it was called Norotine Heavyweight, and I was like, convinced that would be the key for me building the muscle that I was looking for. And like this testosterone boost would get me killing it, all this sort of bullshit. In reality, it made absolutely no difference at all. And actually, I have interest looking on Google, they do still sell that. So anyone listening, I wouldn't recommend buying LA Muscle Norotine, but that's another question I often get in regards to supplements is testosterone boosters. Now, in regards to like testosterone and actually improving your own testosterone, like testosterone is the most important hormone in the male body. Do you want to know how we can optimize that? Very, very simple. Let's look at a few things. So firstly, sleep. Now, like, sleep is so overlooked. I was actually having this conversation with someone today, like not just the length of sleep, of time of sleep, but the quality of sleep. So first thing I'd look to do is to have something that you can use to quantify how good the quality of your sleep is. So for example, I use an Oura ring, which allows me to assess my resting heart rate when I sleep, what like sleep zone I'm in, whether it's like deep sleep, REM, like rapid eye movement sleep, light sleep, or if I'm restless. It checks how quickly I breathe when I'm sleeping. And that just allows me to really keep a close track on terms of feedback of what's going on, what's having a negative effect. So in regards to one thing that I picked up that's having a negative effect on when I sleep is if I have a big meal before I go to bed or I eat too close to going to sleep. Because the issue there is that my resting heart rate jumps up about 10 beats per minute. So it's at like in mid 50s, which is having a big impact in terms of my recovery. Because when we sleep, that has thousands of metabolic processes go on, like our nervous system repairs, recovers. And this is also when we produce testosterone the most. It's whilst we're asleep and get good quality sleep, which is hence why, without being too crude, men get that morning wood in the morning. You all know what I'm talking about. So that's why sleep is very, very important, and why our testosterone peaks actually first thing in the morning is at highest, because that's after we've had sleep where our testosterone almost pulses and gets increased from that process. So the first thing I'd look at if you're trying to increase your testosterone is your sleep. That's first and foremost. Secondly, what I would then look at would be your overall health and your diet. So what do I mean by overall health? So firstly, I would get your blood work tested and checked. So I'd look into, I'd actually get checked like your testosterone levels, estrogen levels, things like your hematocrit, which is how like viscosity of the blood, how thick it is. Then I'll have a look at kidney levels, liver levels, just check like all the liver enzymes to make sure everything's firing correctly. Because what we want is to keep the body as healthy and fit as strong as possible. Because it's when it's in this position, it will run as efficiently as possible. We'll get better results. Your testosterone will be optimized. Everything will be optimized. Like you might see, for example, on one of these tests that you're low in vitamin D or low in magnesium. And then when you start supplementing with vitamin D and magnesium, guess what? That'll probably end up increasing your natural testosterone. So we need to really be aware of what we're doing with our body. And like we can only do that by analyzing things and having data and results. So that'd be the second thing I'd look at. So firstly would be sleep. Secondly would be looking at getting your blood tested. And then I would look at some other variables, which would be your blood pressure and then also your fasting blood glucose. So blood pressure, we ideally want to be around 120. Ideally sub 130 is okay. Once you start going over 140, like that's not optimal. That's starting to become a bit of a health risk because we're putting untold stress on our cardiovascular system. And then the other thing we'll look at is our fasted blood glucose level. So that's the amount of blood sugar we have in the morning. And the reason we test that is a very good sign of, say, health of the pancreas and also how well your body's utilizing carbohydrates. And it can also be a sign of if your nervous system's run down, if that's very high. So these are things I would really look at in terms of optimizing your health for testosterone, which will help with fat loss. In terms of what we come back to on the main thesis of this podcast was fat burning supplements. Should you use them? Should you invest in them? I wouldn't probably recommend it. If you're flush with cash, you want to give it a go, let me know. Try it. Buy fat burning supplements. See what you think. But in my experience, I'm not a huge fan. I don't think they live up to the hype of probably what you're going to expect. The reality is what's going to get you results, the non-sexy things of doing your training, eating the correct diet, and just being very, very consistent and listening to your coach. So I hope this has short episode on fat burning supplements is helpful and insightful. If it was, drop me a message, leave us a 5-star review, and please subscribe. Peace out. Charlie Johnson. Next episode of the Fat Loss Deep Dive coming up shortly.